Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, and giving you the real news every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And right after the show, the Wayne Dupree Show comes on right after this one. So you've got 2 hours of back-to-back news, updates, information that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Also, some of the greatest commentary anywhere on the on the internet. You get it right here, folks. A little bit opinionated, but that just kind of comes with the territory. With that, jump down in the show notes below. If you look in the description below, you'll see full show notes, and it's a link that'll take you right over to newrightnetwork.com, where the show is embedded in an article with all the show notes. So you can share just share the show notes with somebody, and they can watch the video and go through the show notes. And in the show notes, you're going to see different links to individuals on Twitter, people that are tweeting out real news in real time, breaking news, great commentary, as well as politicians that we put on display here as well. Donald Trump, obviously. You guys, we are living in a day and age where we're able to connect with and listen to and have conversations with the President of the United States in real time, directly. It's just an amazing time to be alive. At the same time, I'm also going to put this out there. There's some very disturbing things that are coming out, some disturbing things that obviously the left is doing. The left has gone full to the evil side, if you will, and we're going to expose that and show you why. Not only hashtag walk away, hashtag Brexit, hashtag Jexodus. Now we need a hashtag walk away from Islam is more real now than ever, is because they're dumping their, not socialist Democrats, they're dumping their moderate Democrats for hardcore leftist Democrats, those that embrace Islam, those that embrace communism, those that embrace socialism. And when I say embrace socialism, you've got to embrace it so far that even the average American shakes their head and says, you know what? I don't know a lot about that, but I know enough to know I don't want that. So Democrats, this 2020 election, 2019 and 2020 election are going to be very, very difficult for some of these Democrats when they go up against Republicans, when they go up against conservative, Christian, America First, MAGA, and Keep America Great ideologies. Those that are hitching their wagons to this president who is doing a phenomenal job will be winners in 2020 and 2019. Even some of these great candidates going to upset the Rhino Republicans, upset the establishment Republicans that have been in there for so long. And they've done to us what the Democrat Party has done to their base, called gaslighting or lying. And I've said it many, many times, but it is so apparent today, Friday, Freedom Friday, folks, that the Democrat Party and mainstream media lying, gaslighting, tricking you, making you think that something was that really wasn't. And you're like, hey, wait a second. Didn't I just? No, maybe not. And you start to question yourself. That's where the problem comes into play. That's why you come here every single night, 7, 8 p.m., Monday through Friday. Jump over to SmythTV, folks, and down in the description, you can check it out. We've got the link for Patreon to help new news media, help us reach a large audience so that they know what's going on in 2020. They can hear from their elected officials right here on SmythTV, the original series, and PayPal.com as well, and then the Cash Me. Check those out. Folks, I self-funded. This is just funded just by me, all by my lonesome. I appreciate every single one of you that are current Patreons. Thank you so much. Couldn't be possible without you, and I absolutely appreciate it. So as we're getting on, we're going to do a little bit of revision, remembering, I know D-Day, it seems like 3 days of it. D-Day was yesterday, and I did do a little bit of D-Day remembering because Donald Trump was in the UK on Wednesday. Thursday was D-Day, and Donald Trump gave just an incredible speech yesterday in France. I got a little bit of little snippets on that. So that's what I kind of want to just do a wrap up complete D-Day with a couple of clips and some information that has been put out there by some of our friends. Trump news on the start. I'm just going to throw this out there. It's not in the show notes, but I was looking at it. Jobs numbers are not good. I know 75,000 added to the market. I understand jobs numbers are not good. However, unemployment ticked down. Inflation is low and wages are good. It's 75,000 jobs added to the market. Again, as I said, in the month of May, that's not growth. That's not moving forward. I understand that. We want to be in 180, 200,000, 300,000 per month. However, the unemployment rate is unchanged at 3.6%, which is virtually by all accounts experts say that's pretty much everybody who wants to work is working. So, you just got to kind of take that and moving forward. The economy is good. Trump's tariffs are working. We've got to fight back with those kind of things. So, again, that wasn't in the show notes, but I just want to give everybody a heads up on the jobs report. And we've got the Second Amendment. There's some things that they're kind of playing out. Barack Obama tweeting out, trying to gaslight everybody on the Virginia shooting. I'll show you that and juxtapose of what guns do, not what the President of the United States is tweeting out. Wrapping up a couple of things that Donald Trump spoke about yesterday on Spygate and bringing you Devin Nunes, elected official, as well as Mark Meadows. Thank you, gentlemen, for being in the fight to help save America, help keep America great. And then the Democrats, as I said, the Democrats are absolutely gaslighting their base, those that voted for them in the past, and trying to gaslight individuals in the middle, because they need to gain more votes, and they are not gaining votes at all. CNN is making, we'll get to CNN. You'll be shocked. And then the border, will update you on border issues as well as Islam. And breaking news of the day with Representative Ilhan Omar, who is in a bit of trouble. Representative Ilhan Omar, and this thread is a great thread to follow at Real D Steinberg. Thank you so much, David, for tweeting out this and creating an entire thread. Breaking, important, Ilhan Omar just released campaign finance investigation conclusions. The report's findings that at Ilhan MN committed 6 campaign finance violations. Amazingly, not the report's key takeaway. Today's report appears to confirm the worst of them. Ilhan may have filed 8 years of fraudulent federal and state tax returns. The Star Tribune ignored the bombshell. Also, if you think joint tax returns is the report, so media might notice, media has hid the truth about Ilhan from voters for 3 straight years. It's about to ruin them. So everybody was on top of this. All the digital warriors were on top of this today, folks, and I'm just taking the tweets that I saw first up. Almost every single one of you were tweeting out about this, and I'm shocked it's not trending on Twitter, but it absolutely should be, of course. But at WATSPN 1013, our good friend Gene, will the IRS now investigate Omar? Omar married her brother to thwart U.S. immigration law, but did she violate Fed and state taxes too? She was married to her brother Ahmad from 2009 to 17, yet filed joint taxes with Hershey 2014, 2015. And this also at Megavolt 001, article from the Gateway Pundit. Again, folks, everybody's on top of this. Radical Dem Omar found guilty of 6 campaign finance violations, ordered to pay fines. It appears Omar also married her own brother. Fox News report. Ilhan Omar must personally pay $500 civil fine. Omar must reimburse her political campaign $3,469 for improper usage. 5 times Omar's campaign improperly paid hotel or travel expenses. Okay. Now, when it comes to campaign and travel expense, things like that, even Barack Obama had to come out of pocket millions of dollars to cover up all the illegal things that he did. However, just moving on. Democrats are always having to pay back fines and things like that. They're getting in trouble for trying to win campaign and violate campaign finance laws. Somebody was accusing Donald Trump of it, and Trump early on said, hey, these are just fines. Let's move on. Let's get to the real heart of the meat of the issue, which is tax fraud. Folks, I mean, they got Al Capone in prison on tax fraud. Paul Manafort's going to spend the rest of his life. He's probably going to die in prison because of tax fraud. Manafort is going to be in solitary confinement 23 hours a day, be let out for some kind of 1 hour recess for tax fraud. That's the real issue here, tax fraud, and now also the marriage license. Illegal to marry your brother. That's flat out, first and foremost. And now we've got a violation of immigration. Marrying your brother illegally and doing it on purpose in order to gain legal status in America. Those are the three main takeaways that she should absolutely be brought up on charges and punished for. They're not going to do it. They're going to let her get away with it. It's going to be covered. It's going to be no big deal because why? Because she's a Democrat and she's also playing the part that they want her to play. She's doing them a good service. When they're done with her, they'll throw her away and they could care less. That's what the Democrat Party does. But they're using her because she's on a course that the Democrats are okay with at this point in time. As we know, the Democrats are against border security, and this our good friend at Joy North GA. You are the epitome of anti-American, #resign. That was into remarks to Ilhan, who tweeted out, ICE is requesting 500 beds from Sherman County to detain immigrants. It's un-American to criminalize immigrants for wanting to come to this country for a better life. This is why ICE needs to be defunded. That by an NPR article. If she's reading and watching and staying in tune to NPR, she's definitely gaslit. It's flat out fake news. This is the problem. They're not immigrants. Sorry. They're invaders. They're illegally attempting to lie and cheat. Oh, that's what you did, Omar. Lie and cheat to get into them. Okay, I understand. So you're sympathizing with those that are attempting to break our laws to come into our country. Folks, there's no country in the entire world, not in the entire world, that has such screwed up immigration laws as we do to allow people to just come in just because they feel like it. I don't like the situation I'm in. I don't like the country I'm in. There's no jobs in my country. I'm being harassed by mob bosses and gangsters and MS-13. No, that doesn't mean that you get to go to another country. That doesn't mean. What it means, if you're having those problems in your country, what it means is do something to clean that up. Take action in your country to fix your own country like we do here in America, attempting every day, folks, right here, SmythTV, every day attempting to push the needle a little bit more and a little bit more so that we can get those that are in the middle, that vote independent, if you will, to get them to understand and see you need to come back to where we're standing. We're not moving more far right. We're not moving far right. We're not. We're always right here. When the Democrats say, hey, y'all, you crazies, y'all are moving further to... No. You guys are moving extremely left and getting really violent with it, like what Islam calls for. We've always been here. We're not moving. We've never moved. We've just been waiting for somebody that holds our ideologies and will move America in the right direction. And we found it with President Donald Trump. Why he got voted for? Because we had the feeling, the notion that he's not a politician, and daggone it, man, he said he's done what he says he's going to do in his personal life, his entire 72 years of life. He's like, I'm going to do this, and so it be done. And he does it. Career politicians, I'm going to do this, and they don't do it. Paul Ryan O'Ryan, Jeff Flake, Susan Collins, just to name a few. So as the Democrats gaslight their people by not doing what they say they're going to do, then their constituents vote for radical leftists like Omar, who will actually do what she says she's going to do, which is not good. This is really bad. Now, on the right, we've got the Rhino Republicans, establishment Republicans, those have been in office, career Republicans that have said, we're going to fix the border, we're going to fix lower taxes, we're going to this, we're going to that, we're going to... And what do they produce? Time and time again, year after year after year, they produce nothing. So we haven't been, in a sense, gaslit. We've seen the truth. A lot of folks have been red-pilled in the sense that where they're like, wow, this is real. This is going on. They are lying to us. Okay, now it's time to vote for somebody else. And now you have Donald Trump. You have a Jim Jordan. You have Mark Meadows. You have some really good guys up there and out in Texas with Louis Gohmert. I really like that guy. He's a real firecracker. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. If we start to institute and put in play term limits, yes, it will remove a lot of these Democrats. However, at this point in time, there's not enough teeth in it. Something like that's not going to pass. But you got to also realize that people like Jim Jordan would probably be turned out depending on what the new rule would be. So, although I do definitely push for term limits, we've got to fight that battle another day. That's not today's fight. Here's the fights that we do need to fight. Here's your first clip on gaslighting, guys. This is absolutely unbelievable. Thank you, POWR.com. I just know that they've got the clip up. I'm playing the clip. I don't know anything about this website. I don't know anything about this. I do know they put up Trump Jr. and de Blasio back to back talking about racism, and this is your gaslighting moment.
Donald Trump Jr. slammed New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio over his remarks about the anti-Semitic rhetoric. Trump Jr. said in a tweet, "Yeah, all those right-wingers like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar heading the Hamas caucus in Congress. This rhetoric is not only incredibly stupid, it's also very dangerous. Stop with your BS and fix the subways." De Blasio said at a Tuesday press conference,
"I think the ideological movement that is anti-Semitic is the right-wing movement. That's just abundantly clear. It's been clear down in history. I think we could all agree. I think we can put the Nazis and the fascists on the right side of the spectrum, and they are the ultimate, unfortunately, in this world history. And I'm saying, but I've said this many, many places. I said this in Paris after the first attacks. Do you think that these right-wing movements in Europe are not connected to their predecessors? Do you think that this is something that just sprung out of whole cloth?"
This is an elected official, Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York, who is a card-carrying communist, hardcore. And for him to say that us right-wingers are connected with Nazis, connected with a fascist, could not be further from the truth in history. There's no way. You go look at history. He's doing this in the attempt to cover for the fact that Ilhan Omar, Islam, Muslims, socialism, communism, all of them are one solid ideology, and they all three of them remove religion from the country so that they themselves, as the government, become the worshipped ones, the false gods, if you will. That is Islam. That is socialism. That is communism. And that is Bill de Blasio. Let's look at Nazism. Let's look at Germany. How many Christians were all up in there, with the Nazis and the white supremacists? How many Christians? Zero. Why? Because Hitler knew. Stalin knew. China, all these countries, they know they have to remove Christianity from their country, because if Christianity exists and flourishes, people will see there is a path to freedom. That's Christ. That's Christianity. That's Nazism and fascism. Opposite, total polar opposites of the spectrum from Christians and conservatives and right wings to Nazis, fascists, totalitarians, dictators, now USSR, Folks, this is Bill de Blasio totally gaslighting his people to make him think that right-wingers are anti-Semitic. Sorry, folks. That can't be possible. We right-wingers that are Christians, we have and share a very special bond with the Jewish community. The Old Testament, going all the way back, just real quick, going all the way back to the Old Testament. The Old Testament was a contract, and that's the word testament means, was a contract that God made with the chosen people. You do this, and I will absolutely honor this. God then decided, and that's how you connect the Old Testament, New Testament. God then said, okay, that new contract is now over. Here is a new contract, the New Testament. And this contract states that Jesus Christ will come down to earth and he will sacrifice himself for all your sins and all your future sins so that you can all who embrace, who believe, John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, whosoever should believe in him will have everlasting life. That's the New Testament. The Jewish community, the perfected Jew is the one that knows and understands that the only way to heaven is through Christ Jesus. God sent Christ Jesus down not only for the Jewish community, but for everyone. The new pact that God had made for us. So for us to be anti-Semitic would be to hate our own self. Sorry, Bill. You wrong, man. None of that, but I got this one from Dinesh D'Souza. God, goodness gracious, I absolutely love this guy.
So in the 1930s, the Democratic Party was fascinated not only by fascism, but also by Nazism. They liked it. And if this seems a little unbelievable, young John F. Kennedy went to Nazi Germany in the 30s and came back super excited about Hitler. In fact, full of praise of Hitler. He called him a legend. He goes, there are people who don't like Hitler, but they're jealous of him. He said the Nazis claim to be superior. They claim that the Nordic people are better than everybody else. And he goes, that's because they are. That's because they are. This is JFK. And by the way, I should tell you that nothing I'm about to say this morning is controversial in the sense of it's debated whether it occurred. You can actually Google JFK Nazi Germany 1930s on your phone, and in 30 seconds you'll see that what I just said to you is true. FDR was enamored by Mussolini. FDR actually dispatched members of his brain trust to go to Italy to study Italian fascism because he thought Italian fascism was more progressive than the New Deal. And he thought that he could import ideas from Italian fascism here to America. This was not a one-way fascination. It was actually a mutual admiration society. Mussolini reviewed FDR's book in an Italian magazine. He loved it. He goes, my conclusion upon reading this book is this guy is one of us. He's a fascist. This is Mussolini. Now, after World War II, progressive historians looked at all this and they went, whoa. Fascism now carries the odor of the Holocaust, the gas chambers, Dachau. We can't have this kind of stuff in the textbooks. Young people may find out about it. Let's make sure we prudently leave it out. We're not going to lie about it. We're just not going to say anything about it. So this is a small but telling example of a way in which two of the great progressive figures of the 20th century, JFK and FDR, have been, you may say, protected by the progressive left.
Jump down in the show notes. You can see these videos. You can see the folks that tweet these out. This is absolutely one of the brilliant minds that we have in our day. God bless you, Dinesh D'Souza. Yes, folks, he laid it out absolutely clear right there. And as we move forward to today, I know he's talking about, 75 years ago. Let's move forward to today. And we're talking about progressives today that want to take away freedom of speech. There's already things where they're talking about right now that YouTube is going to remove, Google is going to try and find a way to remove KKK, Nazism, white supremacists from the internet. How that's going to happen, I have no idea. But here's the problem. The problem now is going to be if you're labeled a white supremacist. That's it. It's all over with. You will be removed and deplatformed. This is the dangerousness of the progressives of today, the Democrats of today. And I use these words interchangeably. I use the word progressive, socialist, Democrat, American liberal, not European liberal, Democrat liberal here in America, socialist here in America, Bernie Sanders. And they want nothing more than to take away all of our freedoms, whether it be the First Amendment, whether it be takeover of healthcare. And we've got the Second Amendment. I've got that on display. We're going to get into the Second Amendment too. And yes, this is what they know, and this is what they're moving towards. And they try to gaslight you and I, who can be very susceptible. Folks, I got to keep myself in check at all times. I've got to double check myself. I don't second guess myself. I go to the internet and I look for it and I find it. And if it's true, I also got my show notes and I've got all the videos and all the clips that we play here. I've got this all stored on a hard drive so I can go back and look through these things to say, you know what? I was right. Barack Obama did say, what has he got, a magic wand? Yeah, he's got a magic wand, all right. And I can also go back and some of the show notes, we reported on the attempted coup in Turkey, where conservatives that were felt that they were moving too far to the left, moving too far to Islamic State Sharia law. The generals and the military made an uprising overnight, over a weekend, and crushed everyone, killed. Anybody who had anything to do with it, news reporters, everything, everybody was executed. Yeah, that really happened. No, you're not being gaslit. And if you've been on the show long enough, you were with me when we reported on that, when that happened. It started on a Friday. We were doing a weekly show just on Sunday nights, and we started talking about it, just blasting out as much as we could. And so there you go, folks, just exposing it. So what happened in Sweden last night as we're talking about Islam, fascism, Nazism, KKKism, and communism. All of these are all to get to an end. And the end goal is to put the citizenry or put the people in a slave state so that those at the top can always stay in power forever. That's how it always ends. And in Sweden, God bless Sweden. This is Breitbart.com. Sweden, 25 injured in blast that hit 2 apartment buildings. Stockholm, AP, a powerful explosion ripped through 2 adjacent apartment buildings in the southern Swedish city on Friday, slightly injuring 25 people, officials said. The cause of the blast wasn't immediately known. The explosions blew out dozens of windows and destroyed balconies and buildings in central Linköping, about 110 miles southwest of Stockholm. You're like, Brian, why you try to blame Muslims on all this violence? Why is it always got to be the Muslims? Because that's who's the violent ones. We know who's violent. It's clear. It's on display everywhere. We see violence, and it's coming from Islam because Islam is told to by Sharia law, by the Quran, by hook or by crook. You're supposed to convert or kill. That's the only way people become Muslims, claim to be Muslims, claim to be a follower of the Quran or of Islam, because if you don't, off with your head. And this at Zionist Girl 18, Muslim Somali gang rape, says raping British children part of their culture. Hashtag Ilhan Omar. This is happening now in the UK. Will this happen tomorrow in Minnesota? Just asking. Yeah, Minnesota's got a really huge, concentrated population of Somali refugees. Thank you, Barack Hussein Obama. Obama resettled all these refugees into America on purpose to overthrow elections, to change demographics, to virtually, and he said in his own words, we're going to fundamentally change America. He really was not lying. He really was attempting to do that. And, and then Breitbart News again, Tunisian immigrant in court over ricin attack plot against unbelievers. I don't have Christians throwing gays off buildings. I don't have that article. I don't have Christians blowing themselves up against Planned Parenthood or against Democrats or against Islam. I don't have those articles. I don't know where they are, if they even exist. I don't know where they exist. But we've got Tunisian immigrants in court of ricin attack. And now we have this at Trump 45, 45, 45. The saddest part is that under Sharia law, there's zero consequences for men who commit these types of atrocities. Quote, my wife wore clothes that I didn't like, so I beat her up. Then I poured acid on her face. A Muslim individual being interviewed by an English-speaking woman, and the words are at the bottom of the screen, and he's engaging with her. And during the conversation, she asks him, she says, so why do you continue to scream and yell at your wife to change what she's wearing? And he says because he's embarrassed, because he's ridiculed by his friends and his family. This is the bully, the intimidation factor. This is what people in the Islamic faith do to each other to keep each other as good little Muslims. You've got to intimidate each other. You've got to shame each other. You've got to bully each. Oh, it kind of sounds like the Democrats. This kind of sounds like the mainstream media. To bully, to attack, to get you to change your ways and your ideologies so that you stop behaving the way that you're behaving. This is just a tactic in human nature, and Islam is taking full advantage of this bullying and ridiculing. So he even made comments that his wife was beautiful at one point in time and that he couldn't take it anymore. And after 10 years of screaming and yelling at her, he admits this, that finally said, if you don't stop and change your clothes, I'm going to throw acid on you. So she turned her face and put her hands up. He threw the acid on her and burned her face and burned her hand, deformed her, and then divorced her. And that's legal. Wherever Islam is carried out, that is legal because she's not being a good little slave. And as we're talking about slavery, enslaving Americans, we've got Democrats doing that by gaslighting, by lying, by tricking, by getting them to believe something that isn't real, that is real. And I've just been kind of thinking about this myself. For those of you know, I lived out in Southern California, and I was part of Hollywood for a few years, but I lived out there for 10 years. After being a part of that environment, real quickly, it didn't take me long at all. Granted, I am a Christian. I'm an active Christian now, and I'm actively developing my relationship with Christ now. Back in my late 20s and early 30s, I wasn't. I mean, I was a Christian, baptized in my teenage years, but I kind of had a falling out with the church and falling out with the people of the church, and just kind of went my own way, did my own thing. But I knew in my heart of hearts that what was going on out in Southern California and Hollywood was not right. And I didn't want to be a part of that environment. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. And now we have Democrats taking full advantage of sexualization, destroying youth and destroying young individuals. I had a lot of friends that were a part of the gay community, and most of them that were honest and just, every once in a while just hanging out, and you hear some honesty come out of them. And one of my really good friends that I knew really well, he came to me one day and we were just talking, chit-chatting, and he said, I don't wish this upon anyone. I really wish I wasn't like this. I don't wish it upon anyone. He wasn't a Christian, so, and in hindsight, later on in the evenings when he go out drinking with his buddies, he loved that. But he didn't love the being this way and truly wanted a family, a wife, something else. I'm telling you right now, folks, I've really looked at this for many, many years, and I've had many friends on both sides. I'm going to tell you right now that just as homosexuality, bisexualness, whatever it is, some people call it a disease, just as they would call alcoholism a disease, as they would refer to Bill Clinton as a sexaholic as a disease. Folks, drug addicts as a disease. I don't see it as a disease per se, but it is an addiction. Sexualization is an addiction. We've got these kids growing up nowadays in an environment and a culture that is just it's heartbreaking and it's damaging. Back in the 80s, I always say that when you look back at the 80s, it just seems like Hollywood went and ran wild with homosexuality and everything gay, and the movies started turning gay, and gay individuals started making movies, and all of a sudden you start to see all this sexualization of the gay community, and it's not gay. Out in California right now, there's no such, it's not gay, it's not left, it's not right, it's just whatever, man. You just do whatever you want, whatever feels good. That's what I'm saying. From anything from swingers and nude beaches to this and that and whatever you feel like doing, if it feels good, do it. No, folks, that's the addiction. You get addicted to those kind of things. You get addicted to that sexualness, and the Democrats know it and they're using it. And so at Martina, what are we doing in this culture war? We've got the culture war now is hashtag Pride Month. And at Vice Canada, these kids are the next generation of drag queens. Be yourself, and if anybody bullies you, stand up for yourself. Fight back, fight back. Make me president. Young boys being so sexualized that dressing as girls is a good thing. Makeup and pink eyelashes and wearing bras and panties and dresses and all this sexualization, this sexualization is child abuse. This is child abuse. You're abusing children mentally, and this is what we're going to have to wind up be paying for psychological damage to these children later on in life. I pray for them because the road ahead is going to be a long haul. I mean, just an absolute long haul. This at Crack Inspector, this is what hashtag Pride Month has encouraged in our young men in this country. Very young, maybe early teenage boy, delicate makeup, pink eyeliner, cursing and yelling at the camera, embracing homosexuality, embracing these things. It is a sexual revolution in the sense that that gift, that was that precious gift given to a man and a woman from God, God's gift to a man and to a woman, is now been destroyed on the left, has been destroyed with the Democrat Party, has been destroyed because they need to get more people to be homosexual. It's a fraction of our society, a very small fraction of our society, that they have to gaslight children, gaslight young men, which is very easy to manipulate sexually hormoned a young man. I know I was there. Thank God back in the 80s, we just had to, somebody would steal somebody's uncle's Playboy magazine or something of that nature. But I can't even imagine what these kids have to fight now, what they're exposed to, what they can see, back when I was growing up, even in the 90s when I was in the Air Force, people would joke about, Tijuana and the Pony Show and stuff like. Sorry, folks. But truly, everybody would joke about that. Now, today, you could go on to Google and go see that. It doesn't matter your age. This is the very, very, very unsettling age that we live in. When I lived out in California, there was a woman that was very highlighted in the news as she started a blog, and in her blog, she called it Raising a Rainbow. And she said, I just knew it by 3 months old. I knew he was gay, and I finally got my gay blade, my little gay boy. And so she convinced the child, brainwashing. It's not hard. We all want to be accepted by our parents. We want our mothers and our fathers to accept us for who we are and what we do. Matter of fact, I watched a movie last night with James Woods in it. It was way back, maybe back in and in the movie, he was a lawyer fighting for the defendant who was accused of raping and molesting and horrific things to children. And the prosecution believed the children. The prosecutor believed the woman who used a technique to get the children to say these things. In the end, it was all fake news. It was fake. The movie, it was all fake. And they destroyed these people's lives because they were able to get children to respond with positive reinforcement, to respond in a way that they wanted. And then the children, all of a sudden, 5 years into this court case, the children started making up crazy, outlandish things because they were rewarded for it. Just so crazy, not even believable. And this is what's going on right now in the Democrat Party. everything from making us think that there's no crisis at the border to sexualizing our children and introducing them to an addictive lifestyle. Addictive in the sense that the party, I was there. You can't, gay folks, I've been friends. I still have friends now that live in that lifestyle. And that doesn't bother me. I don't care. You do whatever you want to do. Just don't. I don't talk about my lifestyle with my wife to anybody. Not my brother, not my sister, not my uncles, my cousins, not my best friends. I don't talk to anybody about my relationship with my wife. I don't want you talking to me about your relationship with anybody else. When that's over with, let's be friends. Just like Morgan Freeman said, we'll cure race relations. You stop calling me a black man, I'll start calling you a white man. And then we move on. That's exactly how this works. Not only that, but being gay, it's a sin, just as any other sin that I commit. I have a gay friend on social media who is a Christian and quite depressed about it at one time. And I sent him a link to something called Messy Grace, which is all about how grace from God, it can be messy sometimes. And sin is a sin is a sin. It doesn't matter. Christ has paid for those sins. Don't feel guilty about your addiction or what you're involved with. That guilt will sever your possible relationship with Christ. Don't feel guilty. It's not Christ make you feel guilty. It's the dark side make you feel guilty. So don't worry about that. I know a lot of people who are in that lifestyle that are Christians, and you'll be saved as well. That's it. John 3:16. And the border crisis, Donald Trump slapping the tariffs on Mexico, and lo and behold, guys, at Lilybell Mia, Mexico has offered to send up to 6,000 members of its National Guard to secure its southern border with Guatemala in order to contain migrant flows. This by Reuters. And also at Megavolt001, threat works. Mexico dispatches 200 agents to intercept a 1,000 migrant group caravan headed to the U.S. border. I think they need more than 200 to wrestle 1,000, but whatever. This also by the gatewaypundit.com. And at 0 Point Energy 7, these migrants have come from Ebola-ridden countries. The incubation period can be as long as 21 days before symptoms show. That's a 3-week walking time bomb, Speaker Pelosi. Will you go and shake their hands to welcome them to the USA? A hug, maybe. Hashtag build the wall. 500 African migrants apprehended at the border in one single day. This at Breitbart, Texas. That's why we had Ellis Island. Yes, these folks are coming up the border. Now we're starting to see African migrants. We already know there's over 10,000 Islamic State individuals from countries that are on Donald Trump's travel ban that have come up through the wall, through the border wall. And now we're starting to see people coming from Ebola-ridden countries up the border wall. This is a complete, total invasion of our country. And we know now we're seeing the black pet plague showing up in California. Man, the bubonic plague. For real. And now we have at the Democrats, at Rhonda Hurley too. I have a feeling that CNN poll with Biden leading in Texas includes a newly arrived hashtag illegal alien. And this at CNN.
A new Quinnipiac poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden with a notable lead over President Trump in a state that has not voted for a Democrat since 1976. There's something about Harry, so let's get the forecast with CNN senior politics writer and analyst Harry Entin. There he is.
There I am, and there you two are.
What mysterious state is this to which you refer?
The mysterious state is the state of Texas. So right now what we see, a Quinnipiac University poll that was out just yesterday shows
these polls, fake polls, we saw it during the election. Hillary Clinton slated to win 97 to Donald Trump 3. Yeah. These polls are absolutely fake fraud. However, what they're doing is they're polling people that they want to poll. And their polling techniques, we know their polling techniques. They believe there are more Democrats in America than Republicans. So they poll more Democrats. Yeah, folks, this isn't going to work. But I've raised this on purpose because they're gaslighting their people to think that Donald Trump's going to lose so that they can promote their candidate. Here's the thing. You got to be careful about this. And I showed this yesterday. We've got the tale of two cities. We got people bashing on Joe Biden, and now we got CNN saying that Joe Biden can win. The Democrat Party is severed in half. This at Smith Television. I tweeted this out. Hashtag breaking Joe Biden. Slavery and women jokes emerge at Breitbart News. Friday thoughts. I got into it and I started looking at it. This is all the way back from 1973. So 46 years ago, when Joe Biden, just a newly minted Congress individual, talks about women and bringing women up on stage and flirtatious. Folks, this is 1973. He used the word Negro, which, folks, I grew up in the 80s. I was told in grade school, as a fourth, fifth grader, I was told by our teachers that we are to refer to Black Americans as Negroes. That's the word you're supposed to use for that era. Him saying Negro, okay, whatever. I'm going to give him a pass on it. Doesn't say it now. If he said it now, he'd be crushed. However, somebody's letting this information coming out to hammer on Joe Biden. And we showed yesterday that the Bernie Sanders camp and people connected to Bernie Sanders are going after Biden. So we've got far leftists with what I would refer to, Biden in the middle of the road. Biden would go crazy nut job if he was allowed to, was able to. But the gaslighting, I'll make sense of all this in just a second. At It's Just Jill. CNN in disbelief. Our own poll shows Trump winning the election. CNN host John Berman said disbelievingly, they believe the president, despite everything, will win re-election next year's. That number is up double digits since December. Yeah, more than double digits from December till now. So it was in the 40s in December, and now CNN's poll says it's in the 50s now. What are they doing? They're saying no, Biden's going to win. They're saying yes, Trump is going to win. This is the gaslighting experiment that they're working with. Saying Trump's going to win is to get you and to get me to be lazy. Saying Biden's going to win and Trump's going to lose is helping to prop up Biden as an actual bona fide candidate. Now you see right through it. And more Democrats on display at Senator Blumenthal. And this is our good friend at Lori_B_777. I remember Democrats calling Republicans liars and crazy, conspiracy theorists when it came out that babies' body parts were being sold. You're the party of Satan. And that was tweeted to Richard Blumenthal. Blumenthal says fetal tissue research has unlocked medical advances in HIV, AIDS, Parkinson's, and much, much more. Yet again, the Trump administration hostility towards science and passion for radical political decisions, regardless of the consequences, is on full display. This is us saying you got to stop abortions. He's promoting the ability for Planned Parenthood to use aborted fetal tissue for experiments. This is awful. And at Lydia Lynn, 89, International Planned Parenthood hiring prostitutes for staff and donors. Are we supposed to be surprised? The Planned Parenthood sex scandal you aren't reading about. Guys, this is by the Washington Examiner. This is real news in real time right here. New Right Network's original series, Smith TV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you the breaking news, wrapping it all up, exposing it. This is the stuff you will not hear on local news. You won't hear on cable news. Right here, folks. Crush a share, crush a like, crush a follow. Tell your friends and your family about it. Jump over to SmythTV. We're not surprised about it. I've seen James O'Keefe is a good friend of ours. I've seen all that Planned Parenthood has been doing for years and years, and it is an abomination. It is the cult of death. It's the cult of death that is connected to the dark side, the devil, Islam, connected to the cult of death, the dark side, the devil, all of that over there. Technology, we're putting this out there, folks. You got to see it. You got to tell your friends about it as well. This was too easy to swat down, folks. I had to talk about this one. This one was too easy. Good friend of ours at Scott Pressler posted this up, but at Scott Pressler, hashtag the persistence. Great guy to follow. real news, real information, and he teaches people how to get more people registered to vote. He's going gangbusters, registering hundreds and hundreds of people to vote Republican. Thank you so much, sir. He tweeted out, no laws would have stopped the Virginia Beach shooting. The shooter was a black man who used two .45 caliber pistols, which were purchased legally. I have the constitutional right to protect and defend my family with guns. Not only is that true, but he was also a registered Democrat. That was a tweet to who? None other than President Barack Hussein Obama, who tweeted out, last week it was Virginia Beach. But day after day and year after year, too many families and communities are shattered by senseless gun violence. We can't get numb to this. On National Gun Violence Awareness Day, pledge to speak out, #wear orange, and vote to protect lives. I vote to protect lives, and here how I vote to protect lives. I came across this, and lo and behold, it's a great display right here at Mel_Faith1. When seconds count, police take minutes to arrive. Protect yourself, arm yourself. Thank God she was able to defend herself and her children. And listen to this story of this woman.
She noticed Milton, her pet pig, was starting to act up.
And his nose immediately goes to the ground. He picks up a scent, which means the man has either been in my garage or is in my garage.
Fearing the man was about to break into her home through the garage, she did something risky.
You're in the doorway and he's standing right there. Yes, he's about 8 feet from me approximately.
That's when Richards noticed the garage door that's always open had been shut closed. The second 911 call was at 12:54 a.m.
I have a gun pointed, and I need the police to show up immediately. I called 10 minutes ago, and nobody has shown up.
This would continue.
What's the ETA on the deputy?
I'm talking to dispatch right now, okay?
For 13 more terrifying minutes.
What's the ETA?
This woman had her children with her. This woman had the burglar. I don't. Apparently, he wasn't armed. I don't know the details of the whole story, but she kept this guy at gunpoint for 26 minutes. I'm just shocked that the guy stayed for 26 minutes. This is how you protect yourself with a gun. Sorry, Barack Hussein Obama. No, not today. You're not going to gaslight people into thinking that taking guns away or gun control or gun this or gun that is to going to help people, because it's not true, folks. It's not true. This is how you save somebody. And as we round out the show, let's get to some great news for a fantastic Friday at Real Donald Trump. Happy birthday to our great Vice President Mike Pence. Happy birthday, Mr. Mike Pence. And some other news from Donald Trump from yesterday in France at Mazurikl. Extremely stable genius. D-Day anniversary, President Trump jaw-dropping speech in Normandy. Thank you, everyone who fought on the beaches of Normandy. We will not forget why you fought and the sacrifices you made. I support our POTUS to uphold your legacy. And this at Real Donald Trump, #D-Day 75th anniversary.
We are gathered here on freedom's altar, on these shores, on these bluffs, on this day 75 years ago. 10,000 men shed their blood and thousands sacrificed their lives for their brothers, for their countries, and for the survival of liberty. Those who fought here won a future for our nation. They won the survival of our civilization. These men ran through the fires of hell, moved by a force no weapon could destroy. The fierce patriotism of a free, proud, and sovereign people. And they showed us the way to love, cherish, and defend our way of life for many centuries to come. And our children and their children will forever and always be free.
Thank you, President Donald Trump, a president to truly be proud of. Thank you, sir. And this at John McGeever 70, President Trump D-Day tribute at Real Donald Trump, pay tribute to the 60-plus World War II veterans who were there 75 years ago and went back. This is an article written by Breitbart.com, a great read. And this at Flight Crew. That's awesome you were able to get that handle. Balls of steel. Donald Trump literally signed the D-Day proclamation on the top of the page while everyone else signed at the bottom. He justified the move, saying America is the reason the rest of you aren't speaking German right now. There's the D-Day proclamation. Fantastic. And this at Jessie Jane Duff, a good friend of the show, gunnery sergeant at that, retired. 10,000 men shed their blood and thousands sacrificed their lives for their brothers, for their countries, and for the survival of liberty. Let us not forget how evil can take everything if we do nothing. This YouTube video, check that out with our good friend at CV Payne, Thomas Payne on Fox Business News. And this tweeted out at I24News_EN. The beaches were so heavily fortified, they knew that many in the first wave would die. And again, our good friend, Jessie Jane Duff.
Well, the morning that they awoke on Normandy, the Nazis looked out at a sea that had those 7,000 ships, the largest naval operation ever in the history of the world, and hopefully the last. Because on those ships were 130,000 warriors that knew the first wave would probably be killed. The beaches were so heavily fortified that they knew the first men that hit those beaches would be struck. And when they started to move forward, the colonel that was asked of the 16th Infantry Regiment, they asked him, what are you going to do if the Germans squash you and they should win and they should destroy your men? He said, well, we have another regiment behind me. And he named off every single regiment after that, every armored unit after that would follow him. He said, some of us will die, but some will live. And he knew that some will conquer this. They knew that when they hit that first round, that first wave, many would die. And there was a medic that was there today that was also recognized. He had been awarded 2 Purple Hearts already prior to even getting there in Africa. He had already fought in Africa. He was in that first wave with his brother. And of their little vessel that had arose, there were 32 men, only 6 survived. He was repeatedly hit by fire. He almost died himself. The next morning he woke up and he looked over at the bed beside him, and guess who was there? His brother. The 2 brothers lived.
Absolutely incredible stories. There's so many stories of bravery, and there's so many stories that can be told. Donald Trump told that story about that individual, that soldier, that warrior that was there. Emotional, incredible. Folks, with warriors like that, we can continue to fight the good fight. With warriors like that have the ability to stay in the fight. Folks, we may not be fighting a physical battle like that, and hopefully never, ever again, but we are absolutely fighting a battle for the minds and the hearts of Americans, of people around the world, to understand that there is a good way of life, there's a correct way of life, and there's a culture that is better than others. And there's also a bad way to go. And we've got to show that. We display that here every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, folks. Again, New Right Network's original series, your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, exposing the propaganda, exposing the gaslighting, and the individuals, the politicians that do these things every single day, and giving you the real news. Goodness gracious, everybody, for Freedom Friday. I call it Freedom Friday. I just like Freedom Friday because I feel like I got my freedom back come Saturday, Sunday. Anyway, so jump down in the show notes, crush the share, crush the like, jump over there to Patreon, jump over to the website, help to continue keeping this show on Monday through Friday, folks. And again, enjoy your weekend. Peace out.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.